So our group had the Rube Goldberg machine, and we decided that we wanted to use a motor and then later use a quarter as a conductor of electricity to trigger the motor and throw the quarter onto a couple of ramps. So it started on this box, and we attached a string to the flap of the box and then put connectors on it, and we had to cut through the box for a place for the cup, the coffee cup, to go, and we drove the connections through and cut the box up. After a few trips to the convenience store for super glue, the cashier was wondering what we were trying to stick, and we had to get a few supplies, and then we connected a 9-volt battery to the motor with a switch on it, because when the quarter was placed on the sensitive circuit, it would trigger it immediately, and we wanted to make sure we could control it a little bit, so we put the switch on, and then when the quarter was placed on and the switch thrown, it would move the quarter up and over into to the other ramp. We had to solder some pieces on for the circuit, and then we had to glue pieces of cardboard to sort of aim it in and make sure it went in the right direction into the cup, the quarter. And we originally wanted to use a sort of hammer mechanism that would flip it into the air, but that was a little difficult. I guess in the design process and troubleshooting, we had to figure out which would be the most practical, yet a little complex. We had several different parts to work on, and a lot of troubleshooting with the strength of the motor, and oftentimes the string would get twisted up and we couldn't always control that. So in the final product, we had to reduce the tension in the string by untwisting it as we went on and through. And here's a picture of the final project as it's completed. We had to put a few guardrails out of cardboard on the side and one on the front to keep it from tipping over. It's sort of like a pinball machine, I guess. And unfortunately, it wasn't made to be perpetual. Here's another view of it from the back. There's a switch connected to it on the side. And as you can see, Jinhan has his thumbs up because it's very good. We spent an evening working on the project and completing it, troubleshooting it, and all that. Luckily, it worked out pretty quickly, and the presentation went through. We have pictures from the freshman engineering design day. During the project, when it was being graded, apparently there weren't 3 simple machines. Specifically. But we tried to include 2 ramps, a motor, a simple motor, and it worked almost every time during the design day. Most people didn't really notice it because it was so small compared to the other ones.
At Freshman Engineering Design Day, our main audience were young children and mostly older people. When the young children came by, we let them flip the switch for the most part, and they found it interesting that when a quarter would touch another piece of metal, it would conduct enough electricity to flip the quarter into the cup. The piece of metal that the quarter was touching was actually pieces of a speaker grill. Yeah, so we had to cut the pieces up in half in order to stop the motor when the quarter touched it, so it wouldn't be continuous. In the end, it was a fun experience doing the Rube Goldberg project. We had a good time, although it was challenging, but it was worth it in the end.